Good morning, Professor. This is my video recording for the fourth assignment or final assignment of mobile application development. And I've decided to create a cooking application. So once you open this cooking application, you will be given a spinner with 10 random recipes. So that is because of the get random recipes that uh, get random recipes here, where we pass in a value of 10 and then no tags, because the tags, we don't give it the tag because we don't want it to display just one type of recipe. So we wanted to display a random types of recipe, like different varieties, and we pass in API key and the number. I passed in 10 in the get random recipe function, and we call the request, the get request. So yeah, also we have a spinner here, which you can choose the type of recipe that you wanna show and also display all the saved recipes. And we also have a search function, which is you're gonna basically pass an example like a tag, and then that tag will be used to look for 10 recipes with that tag, basically. So for instance, I will go to main activity and then query text submit. So you type in a string here, and then it will like use the get random recipe, and then it will pass in 10, and then it will pass that thing as a tag, basically. So then you're gonna go to this call, and then it's gonna pass in the tag. So if I would go fishes, for instance, it would show fishes. I made sure to, when receiving that tag, to make it lowercase, so no matter how it's typed. So yeah, so for instance, and also when you click on one of the recipes, it will activate a recipe activity from the main activity. It will start a new intent, and it will pass in the ID of that recipe that we clicked. So then when it receives that, it will use a call in the request menu, basically, and it's gonna call get recipe details, which is gonna do this get request, which is I pass in the ID and the information, basically. So we'll display it is handled in this models through the data structure. For the similar data structure that we'll receive, that will be handled in the adapters that will populate the layout, and it will also load similar recipes, which is handled in this similar recipe, and then I inputted 4 in this get similar recipes. So yeah, also you can save the recipe. So let's remember which recipe this is: steamed clams in wine and chorizo. So if I save recipe, and it will I made this toast to display the image URL, and then you can go back to home, and then you can go to save recipes, which is the steamed clams in wine and chorizo. This is another activity called saved recipe activity, which when you save a recipe, it's gonna be handled by a save recipe entity, because so for instance, you're gonna be here in a recipe activity, and then you want to save a recipe. Save recipe locally, I think that's what I called it. Yeah, it's gonna save that recipe detail into a new saved recipe type. That's gonna be the entity that I stored it in, and then it's gonna let's go back to previous save recipe activity. So yeah, it's gonna be saved in an entity, that data. It's gonna be passed into a DAO, and then that DAO will like store it here. And then yeah, that's the toast that shows the save recipe, and it's gonna be accessed when we log into when we go to the saved activities. But I'll display that it saves it. So I'll go back to home and I'll close this app. So this, and I'll rerun it. It was a clam chorizo, I think, steamed chorizo. Forgot the name. So saved recipes, steamed clams in one in chorizo. So yeah, even display, like even if I have no internet, let's quit this app. Even if I have no internet, it will still display that. So even if I have no internet, it will still display the saved recipe. Wait, did I turn off internet? Yeah, I turned off Wi-Fi, so. Also, I forgot to mention I have this. I applied orientation changes, so go back to home with orientation changes. So yeah, you can click the recipes, save recipes. Yeah. That will be the end of my presentation. Thank you, Professor.